I saw something
Oh,
crazy, by the way. Like people are like suggesting we should just ban props. Like we should just
that's a terrible idea.
sportsbooks
But
should just not allow to have props anymore. I'm like,
that's
you
that's
realize
not.
that there are books that exist outside of the United States of America that will continue to offer props. Like
Well,
it's
it's not even like people will use the excuse of the excuse for anti-device is people say, oh, well, people will find it elsewhere, but it's also just it's a symptom and a cause kind of thing. Like people even if you got rid of props, people would do what you think they're doing with props with another angle within the entire ecosphere of betting. Like this isn't it's not because props exist that people do that. It's people look for it is built around finding an edge. You'd find an edge on something else, like we did with DPs. So anyway, that being said, welcome to Dad's Bet Baseball. That's a cold open. Dad's Bet Baseball and Football Edition jammed show today in a good way.
a lot to talk about.
Lots to talk about. We got an announcement. Is this the first show that we've done since the Dodgers won the World Series?
It
Yeah.
is, yes. Yeah, because we did one last Wednesday and we had checked in. I think it was, I think that was the middle of where we thought, oh my God. Can we actually really quick just start for the listeners to talk about our Blake Snell K
Oh
leader
yeah.
bet?
You talk through it.
So,
Talk through
okay.
how you were feeling. Like set the scene.
So we recorded this last Wednesday. You and I were both like, we're gonna be able to record this live while Blake Snell cashes his postseason strikeout leader. All Blake Snell had to do on Wednesday was strike out 5 batters. He had 5 batters struck out, I think by like the fourth inning. He had 5 batters. So we're like, great, cash it. You text me about an hour and a half later. You're like, shit, we lost our Snell K prop. I'm like, what do you mean we lost Snell Ks? Little did we know, Savage from the Blue Jays had actually caught Snell because of 12 Ks in that game. So heading into game 7, they're tied 39 apiece at Ks.
Unheard of,
Then,
which is like absurd
which
because
is
he gave it with
crazy,
like
which is
22.
crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like ready to be like, great, like Snell's paying for all of these other darts that we threw for postseason futures. Game 7, not that that game didn't have enough like riding on it, but then the Savage comes in the 7th inning. I'm like, oh, here goes our dead heat. Damn it! Like we just lost to freaking Trey Savage because the Yankees couldn't hit or swing at anything
And
in one of
Snell
the
was warming
games.
up while this was happening. So
So
like,
Snell's
yeah.
warming up, but I'm like, so I texted Adam. I texted you. I was like, all right, well, I'm like, officially now we can bury the Snell case. Savage comes in, fly out, double play, comes out for the 8th, no, doesn't strike out anybody. So he literally comes in for 2 innings, doesn't strike out anyone. Snell comes in, strikes out 2 of the batters to end the 8th inning, goes over, wins the K leader. And that wasn't even the most crazy thing that happened in game 7. But it was crazy to have a future cash because a game went into a game 7 and that they literally, the Dodgers, the only strategy they had was to use
Their
every
starters.
single starter so they didn't have to go to their bullpen. That's why we won that. Crazy.
It was awesome. It was the best It was one of the. It was the most ideal circumstances for the best. It was the least ideal circumstances for one of the best cashes that we've ever had. I would
Yeah.
100% say that. So, all of that being said, again, this is Dad's Bet Baseball and Football. We got my guy Neuby coming on later, and we're going to talk about fraudulent teams. We're also going to talk about he and I are absolutely smoking the board in Circa, and we will we will tell people how we operate and how we do this, so that you can maybe think, oh, how do I want to approach week to week, and what disgusting things do I want to bet on? We drag people in the comments on our show. It's not as petty. It's really much more petty. It's like on my brand. It's not like this show where we don't really drag anybody other than Trevor. But that being said, I want to go from pettiness to our sponsor, Hall of Fame Bets, QR code right there. Use code DADS, 25% off your first month. First week free. I'm going to show you why I loved this, why we are using it all the time, because I'm going to find us a bet for Thursday because their matchup data is badass. Let's do this. Boom. Been killing it
By the
on
way,
NBA with them.
we're giving you the only reason to watch this game on Thursday. What a now this is the Thursday night games that I am used to from the NFL. very shitty team against a team that probably isn't that good, but their record says otherwise.
Well, Dan and I, Neuby and I had we had Raiders to go. We had Raiders plus 2.5 in Circa, and we were going against. We had 2 head-to-heads against Kramer and Sean, and we're ahead of them, but whatever. And we just like I said, we're petty. So we go into the final. First of all, we have a tradition. We'll talk about it more later, but we have a tradition of we text each other at 107 saying that we're screwed, and we get to this, and it's 3-2, and it's a Raiders game that kicks off, and we thought it was like we loved the Raiders going in, but when it ended in a tie in overtime and we got the win,
this was a weekend of those.
It was one of the greatest ways for us to go 4-1 I've ever seen. It was awesome. It was electric.
That along with the Bears Bengals game were both just like absolute gnarly covers. That were at the very end of those games. And you and I were both on the Bears too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We had a couple things that went our way.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what you do. If you go to HOF Bets, I hang out in trends all the time. I go to the game. I go to matchup grades. I usually do B+ because frankly, I'm a pussy. So, and then I mess around with my odds here. And matchup grade is a bunch of different things. It's called a HOF data, and it effectively is. It's if you ever used handy graphs, think of it as handy graphs on a back end. It's their version of it. It's just, these are the matchups within the position, so you don't have to do it. I am pretty juice averse, so I go to 120, and then I like to make things on a positive because then I can find alts. HOF Bets is awesome for finding alts. And let's see what we can find here that I'm really going to like. So far, well, right now, so I want to find a ladder, right? Let's find a ladder. I cashed a Michael Wilson ladder the other night, which paid for my Chargers Eagles tickets that I'm going to. So look at this. All right, Sutton could be good.
You're going back to LA for that one?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna go. Well, yeah. So like you'll be in Vegas that week for my birthday on the Friday, because you'll be there if you want to come. And then I'm gonna fly to LA on Sunday, and then Neuby and I are gonna go to the game on Monday night. All right. So here's the thing. I try to look around. They have first. Did you have preconceived guys that you were looking at on this? Because I may not have a ladder since you were talking about how gross this game is, but I can show people a bet that I like that's on here.
Man, I mean, not particularly. I
don't hate this Sutton longest reception.
I don't like Sutton.
What's great is you can look at it. Everybody, he does it against everybody, and they give it up to everybody.
Yeah, here I'm looking back at the.
This is look for purposes of this. This is one of the. I'm gonna bet this. I can already tell you. So it pops up. Obviously, Sutton longest reception. He's done it. You get to see how he's done it in every game. One of the things that I always do is I go to filters, and I like to see how a guy's doing against their own division. He has been pretty solid against his own division. I like to see how he is against opponent with a defensive rank. He has absolutely killed it against bad teams, especially this year. Yeah, he's actually completely killed it. This is a great one to do. We go down to how Vegas's defense has been against wide receiver ones. Everybody literally goes over this number. And wide receiver one is not defined as whatever you fantasy nerds call wide receiver one. It's whoever's getting the most usage in the game, which is the accurate depiction of wide receiver one. I like this. I'm going to go with it. That's what I'm going to do. There's nobody I would want a ladder in this game, Yeah,
I mean, the only one I was kind of looking at was Nick's rushing, because even against like mid teams, I like just his rushing total at, you can get him at 20.5, I think right now on average, when he plays a team that is in the basically 25th to 75th percentile in rushing defense. He's going around like 25 to 30 yards a game. So his line's at 20, like you can do 20, 25, 30. I don't like, it's just not one that I like particularly love. The only thing that I would also say with that is like, I do like, Bo Nix has been really bad this year, and I think it's also indicative of the fact that if you look at like the last basically 6 of the last 7 or 7 of the last 8 games, he's just running a lot more. And the reason he's running a lot more is because he's just not like getting good reads. Like he doesn't really know kind of like where to throw the ball. So that's the only other thing I would say about that. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you've got, I guess, like a decent pass rush from the Raiders, but I don't know.
it's not. Yeah, it's all right. Well, the thing is that the reason I like his passing because I just think so. My angle why I like his passing is why I don't like his rushing as much. Is I think this is so you have a Raiders team that played in overtime. It's a short week. It's an elevation, and they were on the field for like 70 snaps. Like that, like Jags completely controlled time of possession in that game. And the problem I have with the rushing is that I don't think that they're going to be, like you just kind of alluded to, I don't think they're going to generate a pass rush that's going to force him out of pocket. I think he's going to be able to have time to throw. And I don't like to take rushing unless there's a bad O line, which I don't think is the case here, or I think he's going to be forced out of pocket.
Definitely not with Denver. No,
right.
No.
So for me, I just took I did in pocket put his passing yards, but anyway, look, this is why you combine some ball knowledge and what you're reading and what you're looking at with Hall of Fame bets. We have Cortland Sutton, longest reception. I like it. There's a lot of reasons that I like it. And look, the two main things I look for is this guy doing this? And does this team give this up? I really would weigh more on the whole recent performances against. I want to know that this team is consistently giving this up to everybody else. And that was a thing that I think I can shut this part off, but this is a thing that kind of happened on Monday when the world was on Zay Jones. And they said, oh man, his last two games with Jacoby Brissett, he's been amazing. Zay Jones, by the way, also has been on 5 teams in 6 years. And the last relevant
including my fantasy team a few times as a waiver wire.
Me too. Yeah. And, he was booed. Well, the last time he was on my fantasy team was when he ran naked through a hotel window and got put on beta blockers because he clearly was having some sort of mental disturbance. Everybody was on him because they looked at the last 2 games that he did, but nobody looked at the last couple of games that what Dallas was doing to guys on that side. Part of the reason why I was like, well, why don't we take Michael Wilson? He kind of eats in the middle of the field, and Dallas has nobody in the middle of the field that can do anything. And that worked. So that's why you look at what the team is able to do. So that said, let's go to the first segment. Newbie, I know you're in the back and we're making you wait, but you love it, so it's fine. All right, let's talk about this. This is the who we thought they were segment, and
it's the Dennis Green segment. We're talking about the Cardinals. It's the Dennis Green segment right here.
It is.
They are who they thought they are.
Is this a team that is good, or are they definite frauds? And I'd like to go first and just say I will firmly. We did this all season with baseball. This is probably the second time that we're doing it with football. I am firmly putting the Houston Texans into that frauds. I'm not touching. You are a bad team. And the reason why is because they are bottom in EPA per play. This is all offensive oriented. I do not care that their defense is top 3. I do not care that their defense holds people to a record number of low points. I do not care that they are able to have every single quarterback who faces them throws for career lows. I don't care, because if you don't score, you're not winning games. You can, however, push and win betting wise like we did with the Raiders. But in this case, my big issue is play calling of a team that kicked a field goal on the goal line, which is just the ultimate Matt Nagy pussy move.
Yeah,
and just
definitely a lot of questions about the coaching there.
The team's built to run and can't run the ball in chunks. I think Nico Collins is overrated. Sorry, fantasy community. And I think that CJ Stroud, this guy who I defended, because the last time we had saw him before the draft, he dropped 1 billion points on the most prolific defense in college over the last 20 years. I think that he stinks. And I think Davis Mills and his neck stink. And I think this team stinks. And they are firmly being put in a bucket of frauds. I yield to you.
I'm trying to think, who were the baseball teams, just real quick, that we were...
Oh, the Rangers we put in and out of every 5 minutes. I will be right back here in 3 weeks telling us that we're taking the Texans. Right after they beat the Jags this week, I'm going to be right back here saying we got to take Texans to win the AFC. Now is the time. I'm going to do it. I'm always going to do it.
I'm not salty that they lost. Oh, I am. Okay. I am a little salty because that would have been a clean sweep for us on Sunday for, I believe, the 1 p.m. slate. Definitely for the 1 p.m. slate because of Chicago coming through. And defensively, like if you go and look at some of the DVOA stuff with them, obviously they're great. They've been great all year. They were great last year. I mean, they're number 1 in just overall DVOA. So that's great on the defensive side. On, offensive side, though, they've been not just below average, but like one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to like offensive DVOA and whatnot metrics. I'm kind of looking right here. Where is even Houston right now? They're 22nd in overall DVOA. So I came into this season being like, is CJ Stroud just a product of Nico Collins? And now I'm like, I think Nico Collins is good. I don't think he's like we need to stop putting him in the conversation of a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, that kind of thing. Like, he's a good receiver. He's not like, super elite. So, yeah. I mean, also benefit of their division. Their division.
He has either big games or he just doesn't show up. That's just how it is. And it's just like, I just don't think that he's that great. All right. So who's your team that you think is either really good or is?
I'm going to go the other way for this, which is a team that I think is really good, and I've liked a lot of what they've been doing since early in the season. So I said Texans. The Texans are number one in defensive DVOA as of week 9. Team that's number 2, the Seattle Seahawks. They are your number 2 overall team by DVOA right now. That's on the defensive side. But I think that the thing that has been the most impressive with them, and this is like, I never thought that I would be on this bandwagon coming into the season because I kind of thought like the Sam Darnold thing was maybe a little bit desperate. Go look at like their passing DVOA compared to everybody else. It's absurd. 63.2% compared to the second best is 44.1%, which is your LA Rams. And obviously the Rams have been super efficient too. I think the thing coming in the season was like, we all thought the defense was going to be really good. Like the defense under Mike McDonald, another year to adjust the system, a lot of young guys like Witherspoon, like a bunch of the guys there. But the offense has been like just, I like teams that go in and kick the shit out of bad teams. And like they've done that a couple of times. Like they beat the Saints like that. They just went into a crappy Commanders team, kicked the shit out of them. Like I want good teams to be able to do that. And I texted you, I'm like, do we bet Seattle for number 1 seed? And I think their price was what, like 5-1? Like I wasn't crazy about the price for that.
But Darnold's 20-1 MVP. So if you were going to take him for the 1 seed, you would want to take, that's the bet you want. I'm not, because I just have way too overexposed
leverage elsewhere.
Category.
Yeah.
But that would be the bet.
Yeah. Or can you explain real quick too, like, because I think they're a team that I have my eye on for betting 1 seed, but maybe a little bit later, even at a shorter price. Can you explain why that kind of makes sense to wait and take a 1 seed, even though it might be shorter? It's later in the season.
So the thing is about how it works for the 1 seed is that, it's all well. 1 seed is great, but you actually get a clearer picture of how teams are going to operate 3 weeks before, because they backloaded the divisional schedules for basically everybody. And I did this a couple of years ago with the Ravens, but it was a point where it was like the Ravens right before they played San Francisco, and they were 3-1 to be the 1 seed. But right after that, they were going to basically play the Steelers twice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I took them at 3-1 then, because after that it was going to be -250. It's better to take a team to be the 1 seed later in the season, when a week later that line is probably going to turn around to be -250. Basically, your variance pocket is a lot more controlled. If you take them now, you're relying on possibly 5 or 6 other teams, and if you get down to that final week, you have a much better idea of the paths of the others. So while your payout necessarily isn't as much, you are limiting your variance, and you have a little bit more of a controlled idea of how you can strategically do it. So I would rather look for them. I don't have their schedule in front of me. I would rather look for them on that couple weeks out. There's a reason. The main reason why I'm high on the Seahawks is because that team fucks on the road. And Neuby and I were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, but this is in a whole thing with them. I like that team to, I have them 7-1 to win the division, but if that team doesn't win the division, I like them more, and I'm probably going to throw in some exactas with them.
Well, and that team doesn't like fuck around either. Like I mentioned the Commanders game, the Steelers game, even though they were a little bit of a benefit of turnovers in that game. the Jaguars game that they went into, like all these teams that are like mid or certainly below their level, they go in and they just like take care of business. And a lot, like every single one of those games that I've at least been able to watch, they're in full control through the entire game. And that is to me, like, I just think that I trust the coaching staff at this point over there. And I think I trust, I have to trust Darnold. He's number one in EPA per play in terms of quarterbacks right now. So, yeah, I mean, if you don't have a bet, then I would probably go with you there and say the 20-1 on the Darnold is your route.
It's worth doing if you're not already exposed on some of those guys. It's the one thing with the Seahawks now we'll bring in Neuby is that I don't think that I've seen them come from behind this season. And the issue with them is what I have with the Colts too. I really love the Seahawks defense, but one of the things I start to look for now is teams that can play from behind and how they do. It's one of the reasons, and we'll talk about this, why I'm higher on the Eagles, even though I'm a homer on it than some other teams, because I've watched this team come from behind. That said, let's bring in Neuby because he can say things from a third party angle. That doesn't mean that I'm the homer. Dan.
Oh, yes. Sir, what is up, gentlemen?
What's going on, dude?
Welcome.
My weekly pick'em partner who I have to do every game with my circa partner who we have to do 5 games with. And every week we say, this is a week where it'd be a lot easier to pick, 12 games. And I said, yeah, I have to do that with CJ. It's
well, it's just like when you have to decide which games you like more than others. I feel like that's when you start getting in like a dicey proposition because inevitably you're going to leave off games that win, and on the same side of that coin, you're going to pick games that end up losing. It's hard, dude. That's why back-to-back winners in that contest don't happen. People that just front run in that contest of picking 5 don't happen because it's hard to do, man. But Berg, we're hitting right shy of 60% so far this year. So
yeah,
just cross.
And I've been double dipping. Well, we both have. We bet you're not from a bankroll perspective. You're not supposed to do what we do, but we've been very, very good. So it really hasn't worked. We
believe in our stuff. So we've not only been picking it in circa, we've bet all of our plays.
We'll bet all of our plays,
which is it's being very.
It's a very negative EV thing to do. Like you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
It's like part of the reason why people say you do a circuit contest is like, oh yeah, then you don't have to be exposed to 5 games each week. Except he and I still bet them all, and it's kind of like doing your own supply. But our supply is great. Like we're breaking bad right now.
So far, so far. Knock on wood.
Dan, I gotta ask because this is one thing I wonder because you guys got to collaborate on the contest picks. Berg and I every Thursday we usually text back and forth in terms of who we like and whatnot. How offended does Berg get on a scale of 1 to 10 when you tell him that you like a side and he disagrees with you? And then how many texts does he usually send you in succession right after to tell you you're wrong?
I don't know if you have to scale it 1 to 10. I think you could scale it with how many reply texts are there. You know what I mean? But I think that's something that I will appreciate about Berg is he believes in what he believes in. But I don't know if you agree, Jimmy. Like when you win him over on a side that you guys are going head to head on, dude, that feels like you won an argument with anybody.
Oh, when I get the text back that just says
debate club. If you get Berg on the side he doesn't
says fair, I'm like, oh my god, oh wow, my dick just grew
but that's what I'm saying is he is willing to at least hear it out, and when he realizes he's like, fuck, that's a really good handicap. He won't say those words, but he will say fine, and then 5 hours later he'll text you and be like, yo, we're on the Packers this week.
Yeah, it's very different with both of you because I feel like I'm with both my girlfriends. And so last year when CJ and I did it, first of all, it's hard. It's really doing I know this whole segment is supposed to be about the Eagles, but this is actually really way more interesting. It's hard because it's exhausting. We're at week 10. It's exhausting to do this. Last week we had a whole bunch of plays. How many games were 7-point spreads last week? And this week they're all 3-point spreads. So it's hard. And last year I remember, CJ and I had never really capped together before on sides. And we just realized, wow, we do things very differently. And CJ pays a lot more attention to like how the line discovery. And I'm just like, this guy sucks. And, and Dan, you're a lot closer actually to like the CJ side where you're like, yeah, that's super square side to be on. But what's kind of happened this year is that CJ and I have adapted it a little bit more. First of all, I know if I don't agree with him on something, I do the Tom Colicchio. Do you think that's a good idea? Like when he walks around on Top Chef and like he goes to someone and he's like, yeah, here's my pasta rigavera and I put chocolate sauce on it. And he just looks at him and goes, all right, you think that's a good idea? And the guy goes, yeah. And he goes, all right, cool. We'll see you at the judges table. And so
it usually starts with a sure. Do you think that's a good idea?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Well, that has happened twice. And then CJ basically, when I've been right and he's been wrong, has been like this, waiting for me to like dunk it on the next day. I'm just like, man, that stunk. I guess I forget, like whatever happened. But with Dan, like what he and I do is we've sort of developed a good system. Like we find things on Sunday night, we'll say, oh my God, I love this. I love this. I love this.
Sunday night, we look at the openers. And that's
we
like
look at all the openers.
We have opinions starting on Sunday night, but I would argue Berg, like not 9 times out of 10, but very often is that first opinion that we find on a line. It's something that actually leads us to being maybe on the other side of the bet that we initially thought we would be on. Like we look at it with really fresh, and I would argue like really public, like square eyes being like, oh my God, we just watched these games. We're kind of overreacting to it in relation to what the lines say. So that's always the starting point. And I think that's really helped that we're like texting about, hey, I really like this side. For instance, when the line opened on the Lions last week, the first thing I said to Berg, I go, the Lions are coming out of a bye. How are they not 10-point favorites? And then we both were like, holy shit, that's probably going to be a bet for us. As it settled in, Berg texted me later in the week and he was like, I actually think we want to be on the Vikings. And the thought process there was, why isn't the line 10? You know what I mean? A lot of people will say, oh,
exactly
well,
what happened with the Broncos. Exactly
Spot
what
on.
happened. We were this, because literally the first thing I said, Dan, last week, I was like, this is not right. I was like, Broncos plus 1.5 at Houston. They should. How are the Broncos not at least 2 in this game?
Well, and then you found on the show, you were like, oh, look at this team at home. Their average margin of victory is 9 in their last like 8 games at home. Like we all got to Texans, which is why I put them in that box because they stink. But that was the thing is this, like we kind of break it into, and I've adapted it to both sides. It's who looked the worst versus expectation, who looked the best versus expectation, who is chalk that we know we want to be on, who are we completely terrified to frankly be on, and
who no one wants. Who's the team that no one wants?
And you kind of break it apart because with public winning all the time, it's not about betting public sides or doing whatever. It's just, all right, find the right one. Like last week it was San Francisco. Like Neuby kind of hated that pick. He liked it at first, and then he was like, this is the square side. No, but this line hasn't moved. This stinks. And
it's also the one of the dumbest things that I feel like people in the betting space get into is this whole like pro versus Joe, sharp versus square. Like, dude, all it matters is this thing going to get to the counter? You know what I mean? And I know that, like, yes, you do want to get good closing line value on your tickets. Like, that is something that's proven to be a long-term winner. However, there are weeks, back-to-back weeks, essentially, where favorites cover like crazy, public wins like crazy. So, like, if you have to smell your own farts and tell yourself that you're so sharp, congratulations to you. I want to win my bet. So you can tell me I made a bad bet. You can tell me I made a square bet. I think that's the dumbest shit that people in this industry go, who's sharp and who's public.
And by the way,
sides win, both sides lose.
Market is not always correct. Like it's
an expectation.
It's an expectation. And by the way, like you said too, Dan, I'm a big market proponent, huge believer in price discovery. But I always go back to the example of the college football national championship. I think was it 2023. Georgia was I think it was a minus 12.5 or minus 13.5 against TCU. Yep. That they should have been minus like 30.5 in that game. And I'm not even like just biased on the result. Like it was so clear right away. And that was one of the most, heavily bet, highest liquidity markets that you can put out there to test the market. And Mark was wrong. Like, so there's just times like it's okay. Like markets also, you can be fine to disagree with the market, not get CLV, and you lose your bet, you can still feel good about it because you at least had good priors for coming into that game and reasons for why you wanted to bet it.
Yep.
That's sort of dude, producer Spencer, I made 3K betting the live spread in that game.
Well done.
That's yeah, dude, very nice. I guess like because the thing is that it's a jigsaw puzzle of mixing and matching. And with every side for you and I, like both of you, I think the biggest difference between this year and last year is I take a day between what we like and see if I really still like it the next day. Like example, right away, like the Lions is one example, but right away, I loved the Giants. And I also have just found like a lot of reasons why I like this Giants this week.
You mean this week? Yeah, against Chicago.
Yeah, this week, like I found that. But then there's other things like I'll start to use, like, this week you and I love the Ravens, and a lot of it's ball knowledge. It's like ball knowledge spot. We like value teams off biases. There's all sorts of things here. It's one of the reasons like Tampa Bay is
Minnesota is literally coming off Minnesota's coming off of arguably their biggest win in the last how many years? I mean, that's a hard thing to come off of a win like that, play against a team who's every single week playing their Super Bowl now, because Baltimore has put themselves in no good spot to be moving forward here. And say what you will about the Bears, it's still a divisional team. So you got Minnesota sitting in a divisional sandwich here too. So it's a really bad spot. But to kind of underscore what Jimmy was saying there too, the way that we feel about this game is also kind of built into the line. The Ravens are a 4-point road favorite. You know what I mean? But is that high enough? I don't know. I would probably argue here as we're doing this show on a Tuesday night, even off that impressive win for Minnesota, I think Baltimore might be a 6-point team. Yeah. 6 points better than this Minnesota team.
They got it. It's extra rest. People are healthy. And
Lamar Jackson ain't Jared Goff. The reason why Jared Goff is because you put a little bit of pressure in his face and he's done. Apart. You hit Jared Goff in the first quarter 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 sacks, even 2 or 3 quarterback pressures. The Lions offense disappears. And that's what Minnesota knows going into it. You throw pressure on Lamar Jackson, he's sneaking out the back door and it's a 30-yard run. You know what I mean? So it's really a bad stylistic matchup. And I know Flores is a great defensive coordinator, but
but he blitzes
NFC teams,
and blitzes if you have a running quarterback.
It's kind of, same thing. Kind of like I hate to say it, I kind of like the Saints a little bit this week because I'm like Carolina's also coming off a win that they like. That's probably that's got to be Carolina's best win of the season.
1,000%.
Yeah, it's 1,000%. But
it's one of their best wins. A road win, and they were 13-point dogs.
13 and a half.
That's one of their best wins this decade.
No, that's not just this. And that's a good segue because the team that they beat at home is the Packers, which we can now kind of move to a main segment of you and I. So the Eagles, we want to have making our card. But these two teams are the teams that everybody likes to say are either a fraud or are for real. And I guess the question that I want to ask you is this: objectively, for both teams, for the Packers and then for the Eagles, what did each team need to do to actually shut everybody up and be taken seriously, holistically?
I don't think with the Eagles coming off of a Super Bowl victory, and full disclosure, yes, I'm an Eagles fan, but I think I would argue I'm one of the least biased Eagles fans you will ever find out there. I will bet against them. I'll say that they're dog shit the same way that I'll bet on them.
We took the Giants in circa and then that week 7. Like
I bet them on the money line. I knew that they were going to lose that game. Like
you know your team. I bet against the Steelers all the time.
That's exactly it. So season ticket holder, I got the picture right here next to me. I've been going to the link since 2008. So like the fact that I know and love the Eagles so much, I actually think is like a little bit betting of a superpower. Like if I queried all the bets that I made on or against the Birds in my betting career, I guarantee you it's probably one of my more profitable teams to bet on or bet against.
First half overs. That was your thing with them.
That was a no-brainer. It was just how the offense worked. But I think for the Eagles, Berg, and not just saying this because I'm an Eagles fan, I don't think there's really anything they can do to have people not be saying they're a fraud, not be saying, Mickey Mouse this, Mickey Mouse that, because they're the defending Super Bowl champ. And they started the year how they so often start these years, and that's really bad. And not only bad this year, they were historically bad. I think it was the first 5 or 6 games to start the year, they were outgained by their opponents. Now, they were winning those games, but it was never before in the Super Bowl era that the defending Super Bowl champ just kept getting outgained. So that's where my ears started perking up, and we went on a stretch of fading the Eagles. We were saying we have to bet against the Eagles. We did it against the Broncos. They lose outright. We did it against the Giants. They lose outright. And then we kind of stepped back and we were like, is the same shit going to happen against the Vikings? That was something that we thought we would fade, and then we stepped off of it. Now, that win.
Did we have them in Circa? We backed off them in Circa.
We backed off of it. And we didn't, we had the bet. And then that was the only way that we ended up.
That was another one that when we got there, we were high on that all week. And then it got to Thursday. We're like, And
we said, this can't be on our card. It can't be on our card, fading them. But the way that they won that Vikings game, throwing all over a defense that previously had really been shutting teams down, and then pairing that with the dismantling of the Giants after they just got beat up. It was Thursday Night Football. Then you had the Vikings, then the Giants again. So the way that the Eagles won that game was finally a rocking chair home win, what they should do to a team like that. Yes, I know Scatabo got injured. I know all of that good stuff. But the way that they won actually gave me confidence on the Eagles moving forward, which is why I think it's 2.5. You kind of got to make Green Bay a favorite at home, but do you? They were just 13-point favorites and lost outright. So for me, I don't think there's anything that Philadelphia will do to have the noise step down. But for me personally, I saw what I needed, and I know how this team typically plays post-bye. I'm not sure if we're going to get there to the window on the 2.5 as a circa play. This would be a no-brainer teaser leg for me, though, because you have a lower total sitting at 44.5. You take that thing up to 8.5 and find something to pair it with. I think that's the best way to attack it.
The other thing is, anecdotally on that team, they have gone into Green Bay on primetime multiple times over the last decade and dug out. One that sticks out is the year after the Super Bowl, the Carson Wentz game. Which was
actually the moment where I was like, holy shit, Carson Wentz is back.
Well, it was also, to me, that was, I think, the best, aside from the Super Bowl, it was the best coach game that Doug Peterson ever called.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So,
the Packers have lost 3 straight against the Eagles, 4 of the last 5.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there isn't going to be much of anything. So then on the other side, so this Packers team that everyone's been high on all year. I mean, I didn't even realize this going into this week, they were the second favorites to win the NFC. What do they have to do to be taken seriously, or is there really nothing?
Well, can I think
that. Yeah. CJ, go.
I was just want to say one quick thing on the Eagles, because you just made me think of this, Dan. Like, remember, the Eagles' schedule was brutal to start the season. Like, go look at their first set. The next couple of weeks, but then it does start to get a little bit easier. They've got a great game against Buffalo, I think, like week 17, but they have that sandwich between 2 Commanders games right there. The only thing I would just say about the Eagles, like, if I'm looking at them long term, because we always talk about like how good the NFC is, remember that the Eagles have the tiebreaker over the Rams, and compare what the Eagles have to play in the next 8 weeks versus what the Rams have to play, where they have to play Seattle twice. They have to play Tampa Bay. They have to play Detroit. They have to play San Francisco again, who they've already lost to, and they need to win that game for a tiebreaker. To me, I just kind of look at the Eagles and like, I don't know if they're going to be the 1 seed, but I think they have a pretty clear path where they can get to the 2 seed. And I would feel if we get into January and the Eagles are the 2 seed, then I don't think anybody's like worried about them, like in the playoffs having most of their games at the link. That would just be my thing, like longer term with those guys.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I honestly think, as far as you're talking, because this now, like, we're in week 10, like it is time to start taking a look at how the playoffs are gonna come into shape here. Eagles and Packers that's the game coming up on Monday Night Football. And then you have a Sunday Night Football game against the Lions. Then it's Cowboys, it's Bears. These next two games, if the Eagles go 2-0 in these next two games, I think it's going to be very hard to convince me they don't end up being the number one seed in the NFC.
Yeah.
And with the Packers too, they already have that tie. Like that Dallas tie is going to come back to.
They'll have a tiebreaker against the Bucks, against the Rams, and then if they beat the Lions, they have the tiebreaker against the Lions as well. So then it would just be watch what happens in Seattle. And while I'm high on Seattle, just like you, the road versus home dichotomy that can't be ignored. Because it was last year too. I think over the last 2 years, they've gone 7-10 straight up at home. Like that's something to pay attention to. 13-5 on the road. So being good on the road is great. Man, maybe Seattle doesn't want that one seed. Maybe they want to stay road warriors.
That's what I was saying. That's why I said it to CJ this morning. I'm like that team, if they don't win the division, is probably perfectly fine being the 5 or 6.
I completely agree with that. Or even if they get one divisional game, like I don't think. I think if you're an NFC team, as it sits here in Week 10, barring any injuries, and them adding Jacoby Meyer, terrific signing. I think that was that
was the Jags who got him.
Oh yeah. So which wide receiver?
Part of why I love the Jags this week. It's because
I thought Seattle made a trade, but yeah.
No, he was rumored to go there, and we had. I think I started the internet rumor. I was like, I think maybe I told you. I'm like, hey, he's going to the Jets. He's going to the Seattle.
But regardless,
Raheed Shaheed.
Raheed Shaheed. That was the name I was looking for.
The perfect wide receiver for Darnold.
Takes the top off the defense. Darnold will take 100%. Shots downfield. As it stands here in Week 10, if I'm an Eagles fan, who do I not want to see coming to the link right now is the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah. And I think the defense is vastly underrated. And to just circle on back to what you were going to ask about as far as the Packers, the Eagles' run offense came alive this past week. And what we've seen with this run defense, like Green Bay really isn't stopping anyone. Like Rico Dowdle, who nice emergence by him, but he tore his groin three separate times in that game and just kept coming back against the Packers and kept producing. Hopefully Saquon is going to be fine. He's going to be a full go, most likely. But regardless, you saw Tank Bigsby get worked in. The Packers have to show me they can stop the run, because who can run the ball dictates who wins in the NFC. Because these games, as long as it's not going through Detroit where, you got it indoors and whatever, these outdoor games, the run game is what wins you and loses you NFC championship games. So if the Green Bay Packers can't stop the run, if they can't figure out that run defense, I think it's sayonara for them. And I feel like they're still getting rated and thought of as the team who beat up on Detroit Week 1.
See, okay, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I said this to Adam, I don't know if this was today or yesterday when you brought up the segment idea, because I was like, you know what this is? This Packers team, literally, people cannot get over. We were comparing the Colts, because we were saying, wait a second, like the Colts have been this monster on offense. All right, they had one shitty game, and now everybody's like, nope, it's who we thought they were. This is the preseason Colts that we thought was going to win 5 games with Daniel Jones. That's why you're getting the line that you're getting right now. Whereas the Packers, I feel like people are completely stuck to that Week 1 game against the Lions where they kick the shit out of the Lions. If you take out, by the way, Week 1 and Week 2, so just look at team total DVOA across defense from weeks 3 through 9. I know the Packers had a bye during one of them.
By the way, I love, side note, this is absolutely the sample you should start using now, is from week 3 on, because it's a very good. You'll get a home and a road in. It's a little more equal than since week 1.
Packers are 20
because nobody plays in the preseason too.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was trying to also with the Packers, right? Like you can't ignore that they got Parsons. It was going to take them a few weeks. They got him literally the first week. So the excuse was early, oh my God, look at how good the Packers defense is. And Parsons, he's not even up to speed yet. Wait till he gets to be full Micah Parsons. And I mean, from week 3 on, he's been playing, full snaps, has been part of that defense. And yet that defense has been not just average, but below average. So I think this idea of the Packers defense just being this sort of juggernaut is just super misguided.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, it's like I saw Joe in the comments that the Packers are slipping into Deadskins fraud department. The one thing I wanted to tie back to these things is that you were talking about there's a sandwich spot for the Bills and there's 2 Commanders games. Commanders probably
Eagles,
at that point, the Commanders probably at that point have shut down most of their team. So the entire it'll really be there's really one game that the Eagles need to get up for in those games, and it will probably be that Bills game. And so okay, the last want to go back to I realized we didn't put in a theme for what we could do for a parlay, so we're probably gonna end up skipping that section today. But so Dan, what are kind of going back to like how we kind of pick games on each week of the rules and kind of things that we've thought of? What's kind of the biggest thing that has stuck out to you that you would say to everybody is most important? If you were like, here's one piece of advice that you're trying to do a contest each week, what is it? Is it like not being afraid of chalk? Is it like look for the worst team? Like for me, it's dumpster dive right away. But I like that. Are different. So like, what's kind of your one big thing?
Mine would really be you're not the best fucking bettor that ever lived. You know what I mean? Like be willing to learn from either what you did wrong, what you're seeing. Like you can't just be tied to thinking I'm so sharp, I know how to handicap the NFL, because one of the things that Berg and I do so often is we'll be on a team like Atlanta, for instance. Hey, we really like that spot with Atlanta. They were a perfect matchup for slowing down Drake May and what the Patriots have been doing. Drake May is really good against bad passing defenses. They have a really sneaky good passing defense. So we like Atlanta. And really on the year, we had Atlanta when they beat the Bills as well. We said sprinkle on them on the money line. So it's a team that we had a really good read on. But then when it comes out this week, we're like, there's no way that you can bet Atlanta. Like if this game wasn't in Berlin, I would be betting Indianapolis with 2 fists because of
which is funny because that was originally I was like, oh, we got to bet the Colts. You're like, it's in Berlin. That's the only reason it's off the card. And
you can't bet these international games. They're an absolute joke. But you can't be tied to one team. I see this team so well. You can't be tied to one opinion. You have to be like an amoeba. You have to be able to change your opinion from week to week. Let the line lead the way. And sometimes when you want to bet the market, trust yourself. But you're not the best bettor that ever lived. Nobody is. You're only as good as your last bet, man. That's the way that I would say, be able to learn and accept that you might not be right every single time, and do these contests with a partner. You need 2 people minimum to do these contests. In my
head. I agree. One of the things that I learned from CJ that I apply with Dan and have gotten better at it with CJ is we talked about it a couple episodes ago, but the splits of when I care about the splits, because look, forever people were like, the splits are this, the splits are this, the splits are this. And that has proven to be a terrible way to do business. But there's certain times like this Jags spot is a really great example where the Jags are going against the Texans who are allegedly the sharp side, even though both commercial and circus splits like paint this picture of like no, and it's sort of what I'm not high on the Jags overall, but like what kind of gets me to really trust help endorse my gut is, well, if this is like why are these 80-20s on both sides, which is sort of like a screamer of a pro Joe line. But yeah, you have to be able to be wrong on certain things. Like Kramer, when he said to me today, he's like, wait, you're fading the Texans this week? I thought you were on them last week. I said, yeah. And I was wrong. And I feel very wrong about that team overall. And I've been wrong this year about Tomlin. Like you guys both said it to me both the times when I've been trying to ultra fade Tomlin, and this is CJ's team. And you both said it's him off a loss, man. I don't know about that. And I was just like, yeah, he stinks. I'm wrong. Like the time to bet him, it's written down 5 times is if you were going to only bet him one time, Steelers off a loss as a dog.
Yeah. And even if it lost the week prior because they lost as 3-point underdogs at home,
yes,
you go back to the well.
Yeah, you gotta
go back to the well. You don't say, "Oh, this trend that works every single time, it finally lost. Now I'm going to go the other way." No, you go back to it. If you lose your ass
that's such a great point.
you bet off it.
Yep.
Yeah, you got it. You can't let one single result get you off of a part of your process. Like one or two results, if that changes your process, then I hate to tell you, you didn't have a good process because you're trying to figure out too many different factors for what you want to try and kind of handicap games. So I'm totally with you. Like if it's I'm the same with Tomlin. Never bet him on a short week on a primetime game, and especially
you told me this, and I ignored it. I was like, I'm not laying points with Joe Flacco, and you're like, I don't know, man. Here's the deal. It's
last thing I'd say about this too, when you're partnering with somebody, if you like another bet, and especially if you're in a contest and you're like, you know what, I can't agree with Berg on this one. I'm just gonna let him sort of win and end this pick. But on the side, you're like, should I still bet this? Go fucking bet it. Don't let your partner also try to run you off or pull you off a cliff on their side because they're so convicted. Because if you have good reasons for why you're convicted on yours, then go bet it anyways. You can still go bet against your pick. There's been a lot of times where Berg's like, hey, here's what I got with
Arizona.
With Neuby for our circus slate. Yeah, look, got egg on my face for that one, but whatever. It's some of those games you just kind of have to eat it. But yeah, if you like the side and your partner disagrees, then all right, come to some sort of agreement in terms of which one you're still going to go with for the contest, and go bet it yourself then.
Yeah, we do a little thing called non-negotiable. Like if we say this pick is non-negotiable, it doesn't matter. It's included with our contest picks, no matter what.
Yep, which was how I felt about Tampa. And I said, this is going to be our square side. We were 100% going to be on. It's not negotiable.
And luckily I liked it too. So here we go.
It worked out. Well, a couple years ago, the first time I did it with Sean and our friend Allie, not Sean Green, Sean Hardy. And it was fine. It was tough because I was still working at Action. And so I was way too much into the sharp side of stuff. And then I got fired. And it my entire process we were doing fine. And then my entire process of everything just fell apart. I don't think I didn't care about it the rest of the season because I'm my life stinks. And so Sean's jumping in the chat. Is CJ, unless that pick is against the teaser you did with Berg, which he would read me out, which is true. I'm I do a lot of when Sean will give me one. I trust Sean on a lot of stuff, but he'll give a teaser play and I'll be like, that's fine. I'm not on that personally and will not bet this anymore. And it's just one of those things.
No, that was literally what was it the other week when we loved. It was the one that we lost as Tom was a home dog. It was against the Packers. Yeah. We were so low on the Packers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then,
I was on that one too. As I was heading to bed, I had to text Berg. I was like, dude, I couldn't go to bed without divulging to you that I hammered the Packers so hard before this game started because of how our circle week went. I was like, I know that the Packers are going to absolutely ream us out here. So I had to divulge. I was like, dude, it was just, I nuked it before the game to get off of the bet.
He literally texted me, Dan, at 7:00 that day because it was a good week, a really good week for you guys. I'm pretty sure was a really good week for Circa.
We've only had 3 losing weeks.
He texted me at 7:00 that day. And he's like, man, we're having such a good day. I'm really nervous about this Steeler game now. We're going to probably get crushed on this game.
Yeah. Well, it just felt that way. That's how I felt as we got closer on that Vikings game too. With the Eagles, I was we were really high on them, and it was this. And look, I have it in pocket for the Giants. I may end up feeling that way later. I don't think so because we're midway through the week and that line hasn't moved, which is just, and I'm just not high on this Bears team. I don't know. People need to accept, like you said. The last thing I'll say on this all is, what you week to week, let the line, like Dan said, let the line lead the way. And week to week is how you make your convictions, except for Mike Tomlin in certain scenarios. And the Jets. We're never fucking taking the Jets, just ever. Well,
the Jets apparently aren't taking the Jets either. So with everything they did today.
Yeah.
So.
I saw many variations.
Do they have anyone left there? Is there anyone left?
Yeah, I don't know. Mandati is going to be joining the team.
I saw a hilarious tweet that it was when the Jets were trading everyone, it was Mamdani hasn't even been elected and everyone's already leaving New York.
I saw 5 different versions of that tweet and I was like, guys, come on. The Barry on Sports is the best one. All right. So Dude, this is good. Hopefully people kind of took away from this how to approach their pick'ems. And also probably took away
people like picks though, and I didn't give a pick. So Thursday night football.
Let's do that.
I'm gonna bet Trey Tucker over 40.5 receiving yards. Jacoby Myers gone. He was a guy who was already averaging around, what was it, like 50 some, and that gets skewed because he had some really big games. But there's a lot of parts of this offense. It's not like Jacoby Myers was really getting that many targets, but with Brock Bowers opening things up, that's going to be the focus, is stopping him. And people are going to say, but this Broncos defense, well, Patrick Surtain probably ain't playing. So I'm not worried about who figures to be their number one wide receiver. I think this number is just coming in a little bit short and not factoring in the reemergence of this offense, of how it looks with Brock Bowers. They're probably going to be trailing. They're going to be passing all game. Probably the guy he's going to be looking towards is Trey Tucker. So I'm going over his receiving yards at 40.5.
The other thing that gives me pause on everything in this game. Hang on, I'm checking our
private. The game's disgusting.
It's the game's
I'm just
disgusting.
glad that this is one that YouTube TV will actually have. Oh no, we have to have Prime for this one. You need Prime. You need your 20th streaming service. So this one's on Prime. I was gonna say I'll be glad that it's on YouTube TV, but no, it won't be.
The Broncos, most important Broncos, who I will always remind, have not. I didn't even realize they only scored 28 in that Bengals game that I've been saying was their best game. They only scored 28 points, and everybody scores more than 30 against Bengals. Look ahead to the Chiefs. Like, very important game. But so my expectations of their ceiling are a little tempered. I just think I may do the no TD like Kramer's doing. Like, I may do some.
It's not bad.
I may do some under stuff. As I'm just thinking about where this game is sandwiched in like a very weird spot. So, all right. Neuby, we are going to have you hang backstage because we have to record our first ever promo with this, but tell everybody, I know we've never done this before. I listen to enough podcasts where I see other people do it. I'm like, this is great. Why do we not do this? Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, nice and easy. Basically every social media platform that's out there, you can follow me at Neuby Talks, NEUBYTALKS. All of my stuff is there. One thing I would say, if you like me and Berg chopping it up, we do our Let's Make Millions every single week. It's either Thursday or Friday. It drops. You can find that over on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. You just search Wager Talk, Let's Make Millions, and Berg and I's Ugly Mugs will be popping right up there. And we have plenty of people to drag in the comments. This will be
this week's going to be great.
It's going to be the longest episode yet because 20 minutes is going to be spent on being petty. So it'll
corner.
We spent the first 5 minutes just glossing over another MLB future that we had cashed this week, which it's the
second
consecutive. So yeah,
it was a beautiful thing. I very much enjoyed it.
Well, it's great because like Newbie's my +1 for my birthday weekend Eagles game. I'm taking you to these Eagles game with me, and
I'm Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman.
It's my Julia Roberts.
You had to know what I did for these tickets, man.
The Toronto Jays. The Jays paid for this tickets, man. This is it's great.
Thank you, George.
We're right there.
Yeah,
it's gonna be badass. I got to figure out how I get home.
The Jays, unfortunately, that leaves it up for interpretation. Was it a ZJ? Was it a BJ? No, it was just the Jays. It was the Toronto Blue Jays. It was
the Jays.
If you have to have, you don't have.
You can't afford it.
You don't know. It's such a good bit. All right, thanks, Dan. I will talk to you nonstop in about an hour. All right. So CJ, we have special announcements now.
We do.
And I think you, as the CEO of our company, it's other people might know Handigraphs is our other thing. I think do you want to talk to people about
well, I think we need to, honestly, Berg, I think the next time we record one of these, we got to update the little logo here in the bottom right, because Handigraphs is not only a baseball source of data now, but we are now a hockey source of data as well, starting this week. So I've got it up here. I'll see if we can get our producer Spencer to pull this up on the screen. But so you are, in the words of Brent Musburger, looking live at the. I
have
latest...
his. By the way, side note flex. I have his cell because he was.
Oh my god!
So he's like a longtime client for proxy service, a football contest proxy, who I did their PR.
Oh yeah. And
I got him to give a statement, and I literally like texted with him, and he's like, yes, You just had to text me 20 minutes before you call me, so I know who's calling. And I was just like, oh my god, I have Brent Musburger in my cell phone. Anyway,
he lives. I think he lives in Vegas. Still
yeah, he lives
now,
in
right?
lives in Vegas and
Yeah.
Montana.
Yeah. Oh my, legend.
Hilarious.
One of the best to ever do it. So this is what you guys are going to be seeing upcoming this week. Handygraph subscriber, if you are one already, this comes as part of your subscription. You don't have to pay anything else for hockey. If you did a season pass, great. You've got hockey through February. So congrats to you to be able to start using these. We're starting out with the goalies dashboard. And what's cool is, and I'll give tip of the cap here to Berg, because I was kind of figuring out, like, how the hell are people going to like access these? Like, I don't want to like clutter this up. All you do, chip. Oh, we're going from baseball to hockey right there. And then, so you can see too, by the way, what I just did literally looks the same. Like, it is exactly everything that you guys had. If you had been supporting Handygraphs or a subscriber following, it's going to be the exact same experience. So everything from a UI standpoint, it's all there. What I am really excited about for folks, if you're into hockey, is just like we had with baseball, where we had last 30, 60, 90 plate appearances, some different kinds of splits that traditionally you're not going to see. In hockey, we now have 60 minutes, 120 minutes, 180 minutes, and you can do this by season. You can do this by different situations. You can do it by also another tip of the cap for Berg here in terms of first period splits. If you're into betting that market, you can see all of that with the lovely red, blue, red being really good, blue being really bad. If you haven't seen this before, home and away. So yeah, man, I'm super pumped about this. Like, this is a whole set of data that you guys are going to be able to start using like this week. And it'll start with goalies, and then we will start bringing on some other stuff like team stats and skaters. I'm hoping by end of the month, but just kind of depends on my bandwidth in terms of what we're getting out there. But
CJ,
yeah, I don't know, Berger.
Our CEO and CTO. He's also our engineering department
and software engineer.
Our software engineer department. We will actually end up having producer Spencer on as a guest for hockey. He's a hockey dude. We'll have our own. We'll have it within. We have a couple guys that will do. We have to figure out how it's going to work, but I do speak about this. It's going to be the site will be free until at least January 6th for hilarious reasons. I'm picking that date. But it will, like, we're going to let everybody use it and have it free. And then we'll figure out, it'll be subscription for after that. Wait, Spencer's birthday is January 6th.
Oh my God.
My God.
We're definitely having a podcast.
Oh man. The insurrection birthday. That is awesome. Yeah, dude, I mean, we're stoked about it. And I played around it tonight, and it actually is looking like it's probably working out. But it's just like, it's continuing what we're doing at Handygraphs, and we're excited about it. And we appreciate everybody who tunes into this. This complements extremely well with Hall of Fame Bets. There's a reason why they're a partner, is that there are Hall of Fame Bets is great because they have a depth of research within the platform. And it has always been a very good complement to what we have on Handygraphs. Handygraphs exists not to get rid of other sites. It's to use to say, well, this hit 10 times. Why did it hit 10 times? And whatever you want with the data. You can export it. You can put it in ChatGPT. You can do whatever you want. But yeah, man, I'm stoked. I'm stoked that we're going to have a sport that people want to bet on, but maybe didn't know because they didn't know what stats are good. So.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great. As always, like, you know, if you guys have feedback, let us know. If you're in the Discord, we will we'll put a link out for people to join. And this is just the beginning. This is the first dash. There is a lot more coming with this, and then we have not obviously forgot about baseball. Baseball is still the heart of Handygraphs. So tons of great stuff that'll be there for next season. But this will keep things on ice, if I must say. For the next couple of months. This is a dad show, so
it's fun. It's a dad show. We can do that. All right. Any dad moves before we close out? We actually fit a lot into an hour.
We did fit a lot into an hour. I mean, dad moves. You know what's funny is I just literally was talking with my wife about. She's like, "Where's your dad moves been? Like, did you guys just cut those out? That was my favorite segment. Like, can I suggest a dad
we
move?"
stopped
I'm
having
like,
dad. We never had any dad. Sean and Nick are our only dad guests. And so
that's what I said. I'm like, we kept, and also Nick had like one of the greatest dad moves
it was the
on this
best. He
show
never
the
topped
last
it.
time that he was on.
I'm
Yeah,
holding my son
but
right now and ragging on the Tigers. That's what he did.
The only dad move I would say, you definitely have done this with Caitlin. Is like, if you can tell your wife really wants to do a lot of stuff around the house, volunteer to take the kids out for like an hour. Like,
Dude,
and
smart.
also make sure to reiterate to them, do not like follow me. Like, I'm going to do this. I am going to give you an hour, hour and a half, like whatever, to go kind of catch up on the things that you need to do. Just go do that. That'll earn you some goodwill.
Breakfast is a good one to do on the weekend. I don't know about your wife, but mine really likes the ability
to it is a good one.
Do nothing for like 2 hours. And so take the kids like out of the house to go to breakfast. First of all, it's a built-in activity. And you can deal with the hell of 90 minutes of them ordering and trashing everything and then not eating anything. So yeah, it's a huge move. I think it works really well. And I will say this again, because I'm scheduling a big trip to Vegas. That's my birthday weekend. Whenever you are away from your house, if you have a wife or girlfriend, it does not matter if you have kids or not, order food to the house so that your partner does not have to make their own food while you are away. That is a monster clutch goat move that allows you to be able to do fun things like gamble and then use gambling winnings on Eagles tickets instead of, I don't know, stuff for the kids. But all right. So it's okay. We're going to wrap this all up. CJ is at Dad's That Bet. I got a lot of people in my DMs who are like, is Dad's That Bet and Babies Who Bet and Dad's Bet Baseball the same person? And I said, not really and not at all for two of those things. But I'm Babies Who Bet, and it's just so
Dad's That Bet.
Dad's That Bet is
Yep.
CJ,
Dad's
who I
Bet.
constantly will accidentally tag when I mean to tag the podcast. And it's his account's really a Blue Jays fan account.
So my Dodger hate tweets have not aged well now, and my Dave Roberts hate that. I had a lot of Dave Roberts tweets.
Well, Sean, again, shout out to Sean Hardy. Sean had a great tweet earlier today where because like people were getting on Kiki Hernandez about this like Better Team One kind of joking caption, and I can't even take the credit for it. He's not even on Twitter anymore. But like I stole the comment I said to him. I stole that from LZ Anderson of, dude, do you think the guys in Toronto played for free? They had the 5th highest payroll in majors. So like Vlad literally signed $1 billion contract.
$500 million. Yeah.
So anyway, so look for CJ, for Spencer at Spencer_Ray. Neuby is at Neuby Talks, NEUBYTALKS. I'm Adam Rosenberg, and with that, at Hey Rosenberg, and CJ, with all that, what is the final word?
Sure. You sure that's a good idea?